My name is Peter James Joseph Bobor. I live in Bobor, the southern part of Sierra Leone, West Africa. I am 43 years old now, and I'm a blind person. Though I'm a pastor, I'm a blind person.
Okay, so were you born with the condition?
No, I was not born blind. I was sighted, and I was going to school. At the age of 11, I lost my sight.
So can you tell us what happened?
I was not really having a sight problem. I can't remember the date and the month now. But we were playing ball, and my mother sent me to go and buy her a fish. On my way going, it was my broad daylight, between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. I just saw a flash of lightning. My sight went off. So I got my own blindness.
So when you had the blindness, how did you feel?
Oh, it was up to 3 years. I was mad. I was mad really. I feel discouraged because my thought was that is the end of my life.
What was the moves of your parents?
Well, I
lost. Say about the condition.
I lost my father when I was 3 years old, so I don't know my father. Only I was living with my mother alone. My mother was crying every day and night because of what has happened to me. Because she was not expecting that I will be blind at that time of age. So it was really pathetic.
So what help did they sought for? Were you taken to pastors, shrines, and other places for you to get healed?
Yeah, my mother took me to native doctors. By then I was not a Christian. And I don't even believe my mother was praying by then. So I was not a Christian, my mother was not a Christian, she was not a Muslim. She took me to native doctors. But it was not easy. She tried and tried, but not avail.
What was the reactions of the community and your family as a whole? From your mother's side, what did they say? Were you neglected by them or what?
I was totally neglected by them, totally neglected. And I came from a very poor family. When my mother took me to the village, my uncle's wife even decided not to feed me. They said because I'm just a waste. I'm not doing anything to bring benefit in their life. So I'm just a waste. So they are not feeding me. So I even decided to kill myself. One day I took a knife to cut my head off, and my cousin entered. He saw me crying, and he asked me, "Peter, why are you crying? You want to kill yourself?" And he took the knife from me. But my plan was to kill myself because of the very bad situation and condition I was living in. I even lost everything. I was not having a dressing. I lost everything. I was living with my naked body.
Can you tell us how came you were living with your naked body?
As I told you, I came from a very poor family. I don't know my father. So my mother was very, very poor. You see, so when I lost my sight, my mother don't know what to do, and she was a widow. I lost everything. For her to get money to buy dresses for me, it was not easy. So because of all those situations, I decided to kill myself. And I was really living with my naked body. You see, I was using something they call Pioto. That's what I was using.
So from that time to now, can you tell us what changed everything? What changed the situation? Can you tell us?
Yes. In the year 2002, I was living with my cousin at my own manor, that's a chiefdom. And my cousin was having a friend, a fiancé, by the name of Daddy P, Passing. Passing make me the friend. So through Passing, I came to Bo here. So when I entered Bo here, I told Passing that I want to attend blind school. Passing said, "Peter, will you be able to learn Braille?" I said, "Well, it is not by me, but God will help me to learn Braille." By then, I was living out with my Christian friends. They were taking me to church, even though I was not a perfect Christian. but they were taking me to church. So because of what I was having from the Bible, make me to develop faith. Then I entered blind school. When I entered blind school and learned Braille, then I later entered secondary school by the name of Christ the King College, CKC. There I do my secondary school and primary school my education. Then later I entered college, Every Nation College of Administration of Theology. That was how they were calling the college. But now it is a Polytech, Every Nation Polytech.
So there at the blind school, what were some of the challenges, those that you met?
Oh,
how did they take you and how did they receive you?
In the blind school, it was not easy. It was not really easy. I sold my radio, I sold my shoe, I sold some of my dressing just for me to buy A4 paper where to write Braille. There was no support, there was no support, there was no support. Even when I entered secondary school, there was no support. There was no support. I was nearly sleep with I was going out of food. It was not really easy. For me to learn, it was not easy. For me to learn, it was not easy. It was not really easy for me to learn. What?
After school, how were you able to survive?
Oh, I was writing letters requesting from people. I was writing letters requesting from people.
How did the breakthrough come and how did you become a pastor and how have you lived up to now?
Thank you. So when I finish, when I start to the West Africa examination was, somebody took me to Reverend Dr. S.B.B. Johnson. And I discussed myself with him. And I told him that, Daddy, I have the vision and I've been called by God to become a pastor. He asked me, how really do you know that you have been called by God? I said, Daddy, my plan was not to become a pastor. I want to become a lawyer. But I'm convinced within myself that I've been called by God. He said, really? I said, yes. Then he helped me to enter college. From there, I become a pastor.
So you becoming a pastor, what are some of the greatest achievements you've ever had?
Oh, I thank God. I thank God. The achievements are greater, more than the word greater. I have planted more than 25 churches, a blind person. I have planted more than 25 churches, and I have built a very big church at the place where they sent me first, Kangan on the rail. The church can host up to 400 people. And I planted over 25 churches. And I'm now in Bo. I'm planting another church in Bo here, at Dover Grand Section. There I'm living now. And ever since I become a pastor, I'm always pastor in charge of a church. Not assistant, but pastor in charge of a church.
So, you being a pastor now, what is your family saying? What are they talking about? How do they see you now?
Those who neglect,
and those in the community, how do they see you now being a pastor?
Even though my mother has died, it's really pathetic to me because I don't want to lose my mother for now. My mother has passed away. But those who neglected me, now I'm a leader for them. Those who neglected me, now I am leader to them and for them. Now I have been embraced and hugged by them. You see, so I thank God. You see? So they were looking at me as a waste. But now I'm a married man to a beautiful wife, and I have 2 kids. And I have 2 kids and I have 4 adopted children. Today I'm living with a family of 8 and I'm the head. And God is doing very well for us.
So what do you have to tell those in the community who have neglected their children with disabilities? And also, what do you have to tell the entire community concerning persons with disabilities and as a country as a whole?
Yeah, it will not be easy at the beginning. It will not be really easy. But as time goes on, God will intervene. I just want to tell parents who their children have disability that it is not good for them to neglect them. It is not really good for people to neglect disabled people. We are made in the image and likeness of God. We are all the same in the sight of God. It is only a part of a person that will be missing. But does it mean that if that one part had been missing, that person has been thrown away? No. That person is still useful in the community. With God, that person will be able to do something more than the able. I'm really telling them this. And I want them to know that God have in mind people with disability. And God is ready to lift them up. Because God has done it to me. And I believe what God has done to me, God will do the same thing to other disabled people.
So now your final words to the general public.
My final word to the general public is, disability is not inability. It doesn't mean that, let me just quote this quotation, the downfall of a man is not the end of his life. It doesn't mean that if the person has become disabled, he can't be able to do any other thing that will be beneficial to the community. That person has something that even will take the community to higher level more than the able people.